everyone, it's Misty here from TheJollyFatElf. Thank you so much for joining me. In today's video, I'm finally sharing with you the wreath shakers that I made. You may have you've seen if you watched the Santa shakers, then you saw a sneak peek of these as they were on my desk at the exact same time. So I'm going to be working them into cards. This will be a set of 4 that will be available in my Etsy shop at some point, so be sure to check that out. You can find all the pertinent information linked in the description box down below. We are using the same, I want to say it's still the Heartfelt Holiday Kit from Queen & Company. If not, I will have the correct one listed in the description box. While you're down there, be sure to subscribe, turn on your post notifications. I'm uploading a holiday card video every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You can also follow me over on Facebook. I have a Facebook page, I have a Facebook group, I have an Instagram, I have all of the things. If you're interested in picking up any of the holiday cards you've seen so far, be sure to go follow and favorite my Etsy shop so you are notified when they go live. So yeah, these were really fun to make. They didn't go quickly, but they were fun to make. So let's head over to the craft table and we'll get started. So I started this card, or these cards, by picking out a couple of green patterns from some of the Queen & Co. paper. You guys know how much I love houndstooth. So I picked a houndstooth that's like a darker, more grungy green, and then there's a more vibrant green. And I am going to cut out the stitched outside, the stitched middle, and then once I've done that, I'm going to cut out the solids because I want the back of the wreath to be the same pattern as the top of the wreath will turn out to be. And I'm just running those through my Gemini and putting all the pieces to the side. This is really the only one you have to do for that because of the wreath, the middle of the wreath. The rest of them don't necessarily have to go through all of this trouble, but it's really just going to depend on the dies that you're using. So here you see me cutting out the solids. It looks like one of those papers is from Photoplay actually. So here is the big foam I've been telling you guys about, and I've sewed this down to normal time. So I got this foam off of Amazon. I will try to remember to link it down below. And I'm just cutting out a piece that's big enough to fit the die. So when I first tried this with the Santas, I tried to put the whole sheet in and there just wasn't enough pressure. Now, your mileage may vary. You may very well crack your plates. So you need to be careful with this. Decide if you want to do it. As you can see, my plates are kind of on their last leg anyway. I didn't have any issues with this after I cut it down and ran it through. I had to run it through twice. You may want to go through 3 different times. But again, this is only if you don't want to purchase the refill kits from Queen & Co. Because you could literally make as many as you want to. And then you use the outline die to cut out the acetate. And I'm going to show you that in just a second. And then you can make as many of these wreaths as you want to. But instead of having sticky foam, you'll have to use some glue. And again, I'm going to share that with you. So I was really happy with how these turned out. You guys saw how many Santas I was able to make. And if I had a free afternoon, I'd probably just sit down and make these for hours because I just really loved how both of these turned out. So once we've done that, we're going to go ahead and start assembling the wreaths, and then we're going to put those to the side, and then you can see there's the Santas. So I kind of did this all at the same time, and I don't have a huge amount of room on my desk, so there you go. Now, for the leftover foam pieces, I actually save all of them. Some of the more weird shapes go into my adhesive bucket, and I use it if I want dimensional adhesive and I don't, I want it to be a little bit bigger than the pop dots I have or whatever. So here you see me gluing the foam down rather than it having the double-sided adhesive, as you'll see in just a minute. You just want to be careful that you don't get glue everywhere. Here you can see me pulling off the back of the sticker, and that goes down real easy. So you just want to be careful that you don't get glue everywhere. But as I mentioned, I save those pieces. If you saw the one stamp 3 ways, I used leftover adhesive from these kits on the back of the shaker card. So I really do like how the leftover pieces can be repurposed. And I think that's one of the best things about crafting, is when you don't have to have any waste whatsoever. So I'm just getting all of the foam adhered, and then we're going to add in our sprinkle mix. So you can use what came with the kit, or you can use whatever you have. I have I've kind of put all of mine together, and I just pull out what I like and what I don't like. And I'm pulling out the other wreath, acetate from the kit. So you don't want to pour a whole lot, because you still want your shaker to move, but I'm putting a little bit in the middle and a little bit around the outside. And then sometimes I'll bring in some seed beads like you see me do here. This isn't a step that you have to take, but I like to have the shakers to have a little bit more, and I don't want to be as generous with the colored sprinkles. I'd rather have more of the seed beads to kind of give it more of that shaker sound, which I absolutely love. So again, for the ones that I cut out of foam, I am using glue, and the other ones have a double-sided tape, so it makes it really pretty simple. And I'm making sure that I am attaching the same color to the same color. Again, I wanted the same patterns to be the same. I have my phone up ahead. That's you see me messing around with it, trying to find something to watch. When I craft, especially like when I just turn on my camcorder, I have a card that gives me about 5.5 hours to play. I'll throw on something, watch something, and I'll just craft until I get tired, and then I'll get up and I'll, move around or wait the next day and craft some more. So that's why sometimes it looks a little cropped in, and that's just because I forget to get my phone out of the way. If you've never heard of her, I like to watch Emily D. Baker. She's a lawyer here on YouTube. She covers a lot of pop culture lawsuits and stuff. And a lot of her content's like 2-3 hours, which I actually kind of enjoy, because I can just turn it on. It's on in the background. I don't have to really think. I can just do what I need to do to get done. And again, I'm using liquid glue for these, so I can kind of move them around just a little bit. Plus, I'd have to use an adhesive eraser if I used a tape runner, because it's thicker than the lines of the die cut. So someone sent me these pretty little bows, and I've decided to attach them to the bottom. And I am just using some liquid glue to do that. This one I'm like, oh, did I get it? I probably got it crooked. I mean, we know who I am. And I'm just holding it on for just a second to give it a chance to adhere. And then I am going to put one on all 4 of them. And I believe it was Leslie that sent these to me. So thank you, Leslie. Hopefully I remembered correctly. It's been a couple of years. You guys know how my memory is. Not very great. So once I get all these bows adhered, we are going to move to picking out the pattern paper, which normally takes me the longest. But again, I've used a couple of paper pads from Queening Company. I think one of them is Heartfelt Holiday that matches the kit, and the other one is North Pole something or other. North Pole. There we go. There we go. That's what we're talking about. North Pole Party. So I knew that I wanted to use some deeper patterns. I knew that I wanted some more kind of rusty wine traditional colors. And I loved this polka dot, and I actually loved the houndstooth on the back as well. And so you're going to see me use that with them. And so the houndstooth wreaths are a bit more of like a sprucey, cool toned green. Whereas the other ones are more kind of vibrant and a little bit more of a yellow tone green, a warmer tone green. So I tried to pick patterns that went with each. And that's one way that you can do your patterns, especially if, you're trying to get the same kind of color tone as you would with the others. And I just went ahead and used the same red for the card bases. So I'll bring in 2 pieces of red cardstock. I'll score them at 4 1/4 and then cut them at 5.5. It's always easy to score first and then cut out. For the layers, I've measured them down to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. That's just the size that I like to do my layers lately. You can still do a quarter, like 4 1/4 by 4 by 5 1/4, brain misty. But again, I kind of like the 1/8 because I like to see more of the pattern paper than the cardstock underneath. That changes. It depends on how I feel. But yeah, so I am going to be putting some white card layers inside our card bases. And again, these were scored at 4 1/4, then I've cut them at 5 1/2. So we are making kind of like landscape size cards or styled cards. Again, these are A2. I do all of my sizes for the most part in A2. You are going to see some 5x7s just because I have some like die cuts and stuff that are a little bit bigger, and I think they will look better on a bit bigger of a card base. But for the most part, I use A2 size. I tend not to do cards where they open from the side. I prefer either landscape like this or portrait where it opens top to bottom or bottom to top. I don't really care for it when it opens on the side, but that's just a personal preference. And here I'm trying to play around with the layout, what I want, how I want it to look. I knew that I wanted to use some of the paper scraps. Again, I try to use the scraps before I end up using up all of the other bigger sheets, just to try to cut down on waste and to make sure that I am getting out all of my money out of the paper and the kits. And you guys know I love pattern paper. I know a lot of people have kind of moved away from using it. Not me. I love it. I still love it. Now I'll do scene cards every once in a while. Like if you saw the snow people last week, the one I did, didn't have any paper, but I still really, really love to play with paper. I think it's so much fun and I have a lot of it, so I might as well get some use out of it. So we're going to go ahead and start adhering. Again, I'm just using some tape runner to adhere these to the inside. When you're mass producing, I mean, this is kind of mass producing, but not really because there's really only 4 cards. You want to do each step at the same time. And again, I'll be showing you more of that as we move along through the holiday card series. But so like I scored both of my cards, card bases first, or card stocks, then I cut them. Now I'm doing the, inside layers, and then I'll do all of the adhering at the same time. So you want to work, it just makes it harder, not smart, or smarter, not harder. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to kind of be all over the place. This kind of helps me stay organized, and just helps me. It's how my brain works, really. If you want to be straight. So here you can see I've used 2 different greens for the card layers. And again, the more kind of sprucey one, the cooler tone is going to go with the cooler toned, the darker of the darker of the wreaths. And then this lighter one's going to go with the lighter of the wreaths. I love this paper, and I love that Queen & Co gives you 4 of I believe it's 4 of each sheet, and you can buy their paper on their website. But any Christmas paper you can not even use holiday paper. I mean, if you guys remembered, last week I used just some plaid paper from My Favorite Things. So you can absolutely get away with just using regular old paper. And the fireplace one that you saw, the polka dot paper, that was actually Valentine's Day paper. So you don't have to just stick to a holiday paper. Feel free to use whatever paper that you have in your collection. Once I have all of those adhere, I'm going to play around with the kind of layout. I know I want the brown houndstooth, and I want to bring in some of the red. So I have a darker red again to go with the darker of the 2, and then the lighter to go with the lighter of the 2. And I'm just placing and deciding and then cutting down and gluing, and we're going to get that done, and then we'll move on to adding down the wreaths. I am going to adhere the wreaths down using some liquid glue. This is just some Tombow Mono liquid glue. I found a case on Amazon with the big bottles that I ended up picking up. And I'm just going to add these to the red layer. I'm going to press down just a little bit to make sure that it's sticking, and then we're going to move on to the next one. I'm not worrying about adhesive behind the bow because the bow is very securely attached to the wreath, and the wreath has plenty of support. Like, it's not going anywhere, especially once you use the Tombow and it dries down, because that's a permanent adhesive. So you don't have to worry about it moving around on you in the least bit. So once I get all 4 of my wreaths adhered, I'm going to bring in some sentiments, and trying to decide on one was just as hard as all of it. I shouldn't say hard, but there's so many great ones. I want to use all of them. And unfortunately, there's only so much space. Initially, I thought I would bring in some more of the red and I would heat emboss, but then I decided I really didn't think I would like that. And I wanted to just add in a sentiment by stamping. So I'm going to bring in a piece of white cardstock. I have the sentiment I want, and then I'm also going to be using some red ink from Gina K Designs. I had to end up stamping this like 4 or 5 times to get it solid. The first couple of stamps, it looked awful. So once I finally felt like I had it seasoned, or whatever you want to call it, I was able to get some good crisp some good crisp stampings of the sentiment. It says, "Have a holly jolly Christmas." Once I get all of those stamped, I'm going to bring in a label die. I want to say these are from Simon Says Stamp. I've had them for years and years and years, so I don't know exactly where they came from, but you could also, if you're good at cutting banners, spoiler alert, I am not good at cutting banners. So that's why I like to use a die, because we know, you guys have been with me for years. You know how awful I am at cutting straight, all of the things. So we're going to get all 4 of those cut out, and then I'm just going to use some tape to get this adhered and just kind of tucking it underneath the wreath. And then I'm going to bring in some enamel dots, and that is going to be the end for these cute little wreaths. So that's it. As I mentioned, your mileage may vary on the foam. You just want to be careful. I don't know how it would work in a big shot because, again, my Gemini is electric, so I don't have to really worry about it. But yeah, just play with it and see what you think. But anyways, that's it. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. I am uploading every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. Central. And don't forget to follow me over on Facebook and Instagram. All of the links that are pertinent are in the description box down below. We're going to add some enamel dots, and then I'm going to go. So have a good day, night, weekend, wherever you are. I love your faces, and I will see you in my next video. Bye for now.